Your next salad might already be carrying a parasite the CDC is actively tracking right now, and you won't feel a thing for up to 2 weeks. That bag of pre-washed spring mix sitting in your crisper looks perfectly fine, but the chlorine wash, it can't kill this one. Over 400 confirmed cases across 18 states, 20 people hospitalized, and the contaminated food still hasn't been identified. Stay with me until the end, because item 5 is the one question you need to ask your doctor by name. And without it, your test comes back normal, even when this parasite is living inside you. I'm Dr. James, and this channel exists to translate what's happening inside your body before it turns into a crisis, especially the stuff your 12-minute appointment never gets to. I've treated parasitic infections in seniors who went weeks without a proper diagnosis. Not because anyone dropped the ball, but because nobody told them what to ask for. That's what we're fixing today. If this matters to you, think about subscribing. Outbreaks move faster than your next appointment, and I want you ahead of it. Drop a comment and tell me, what state are you watching from? And have you had unexplained diarrhea lasting more than a week this summer? I read every single one, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. In the next several minutes, we're going to hit 4 things. How this parasite gets past every safety check and straight into your gut. 6 protection steps that go beyond just washing produce. A hidden danger that standard treatment creates for anyone over 60 on common medications, and the exact sentence you need to say to your doctor to actually get the right test. Cyclospora cayetanensis gets into your body through produce that was contaminated at the farm through the irrigation water. This isn't a kitchen hygiene problem. It happens before the food ever reaches your store. The parasite resists the chlorine-based sanitizers used in produce processing, so that triple washed label means absolutely nothing against it. Think of Cyclospora like a trespasser who already has a key. The chlorine wash is the security guard at the front desk, but this trespasser walks right past because that guard was never trained to recognize this face. Once it's inside your small intestine, it moves into your intestinal cells and turns each one into a factory stamping out more parasites. The cell stops absorbing water and nutrients and starts producing intruders instead. That's why the diarrhea is explosive. Your body floods fluid in while the damaged lining can't pull it back. The parasite can also go dormant. Symptoms disappear, you think you're getting better, then they come roaring back. If that sounds frightening, I get it. You bought the pre-washed bag because it felt like the safer choice. The food safety system was built to catch bacteria, E. coli, salmonella. Cyclospora plays by different rules, and most processing plants don't screen for it. That's the gap, and this parasite lives in it. After 60, your immune system takes longer to recognize something it's never seen before, so Cyclospora gets more time to dig in. Every item we go through does one of 3 things: blocks entry, starves the invader, or gets you the right diagnosis faster. You'll know which one you need most. Item 1. Hydrogen peroxide wash. 3% food-grade hydrogen peroxide, any pharmacy, about $3. If you skip this because you trust the pre-washed label, you are leaving the door wide open for the one organism chlorine cannot touch. Hydrogen peroxide produces oxygen-free radicals the moment it hits organic material. Those radicals physically rupture the cell wall of Cyclospora oocysts, a mechanical destruction that chlorine simply can't pull off. Once that wall is breached, the parasite's genetic material breaks down and it can't activate even if trace amounts are swallowed. A 2019 study in the Journal of Food Protection showed peroxide-based washes significantly reduced Cyclospora viability on produce compared to chlorine alone. Here's the protocol. 1 tablespoon of 3% food-grade hydrogen peroxide into 1 cup of cold water. Submerge your greens, herbs, and berries for 2 minutes. Gently agitate, then rinse under cold running water for 30 seconds. Do this right before you eat, not before you store. The mistake people make: washing ahead of time and storing wet. That moist environment lets survivors hang on. Always wash immediately before you eat. Item 2. Cooking your produce. If you're relying on raw salads through this outbreak season, you're betting against a parasite the CDC still hasn't traced, and it only takes 1 contaminated leaf. Heat above 160 degrees Fahrenheit breaks down the oocyst wall proteins and causes collapse. Once that wall is gone, the infectious sporozoites inside are exposed and they die. The CDC confirms that cooking destroys Cyclospora. Protocol: sauté, steam, or roast until a food thermometer reads 160 degrees at the thickest part. For basil, add it to hot dishes instead of using it raw. The mistake: briefly steaming or wilting and assuming that's enough. That might only get you to 140 degrees, and that's not enough to destroy the oocyst wall. Cooking is the one thing this parasite has no defense against. Heat doesn't weaken it, it obliterates it. Item 3. Avoiding the highest risk produce during outbreak season. No purchase needed here, this is just substitution. If you keep eating raw cilantro and bagged spring mix because you've always been fine, you're walking straight through the most concentrated risk categories the CDC tracks. Outbreaks have been repeatedly linked to fresh basil, cilantro, raspberries, snow peas, and bagged leafy greens. Foods with textured surfaces where oocysts lodge and resist rinsing. Even thorough washing leaves behind organisms small enough to dodge your eyes, but large enough to cause a full infection. CDC data going back to the 1990s keeps pointing to the same foods. Protocol: May through August, swap dried herbs for fresh basil and cilantro. Choose whole lettuce heads you wash yourself and peel the outer leaves from instead of bagged, pre-cut greens. And cook berries into oatmeal rather than eating them raw. The mistake: assuming organic or locally grown is safer. Cyclospora spreads through irrigation water at the farm level. Organic farms use that same water. The label doesn't protect you. Before we move on, let me quickly recap what your body is up against if you're exposed. A parasite that walks past chlorine, burrows into your intestinal cells, converts them into factories, and causes diarrhea that vanishes and then comes back. The first 3 items keep it out. What comes next is about surviving both the diagnosis and the treatment. And this is where it gets personal for anyone over 60. If you have someone in your family who eats fresh salads every day, send them this video right now, because what's coming may be the piece they've been missing. Item 4. Requesting the specific Cyclospora stool test by name. No purchase, just a verbal script for your doctor. If you submit a standard stool sample without asking for Cyclospora by name, the parasite stays invisible. The test says nothing. Standard cultures screen for bacteria, salmonella, E. coli, not this parasite. Cyclospora needs its own test, a modified acid-fast stain that highlights oocysts with a special dye, or a PCR panel that includes Cyclospora DNA. Without those, the parasite is invisible under standard microscopy, semi-transparent, mistaken for debris. The CDC states plainly that Cyclospora is not detected by routine stool exams, and that a specific test must be ordered. Delays of 2 to 6 weeks are common. Protocol: if diarrhea has lasted beyond 3 days, call your doctor and say, "I want to be tested for Cyclospora cayetanensis." It's not on the standard panel and has to be ordered separately. If you're unsure, ask for a modified acid-fast stain or a GI-PCR panel that includes Cyclospora. Don't accept a negative culture as the final word if your symptoms are still there. The mistake: assuming the lab checks for everything. They only test what gets ordered. This parasite has 2 invisibility cloaks, one on your produce, one in the lab. Asking by name strips away the second one. Now pay close attention, because this next item is the most overlooked danger in this entire outbreak, and it directly affects anyone over 60 who's on heart or blood pressure medication. Item 5. The Bactrim interaction danger. Get diagnosed with Cyclospora. Get prescribed Bactrim without checking your medication list, especially if you're on spironolactone. And you can trade a treatable infection for a cardiac emergency. Trimethoprim in Bactrim blocks the kidney channels that excrete potassium, causing it to build up in your blood. Spironolactone, which millions of seniors take for heart failure or blood pressure, also retains potassium by blocking aldosterone. When both are present, the effects stack, like 2 people pushing the same door at once. Potassium spikes. And that can trigger a fatal arrhythmia without any warning. A study in the Canadian Medical Association Journal found that elderly patients on spironolactone had a 12-fold increase in hyperkalemia hospitalizations when they were given trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole. Protocol: if Bactrim is prescribed, hand over your full medication list and say, "I've read that Bactrim can cause dangerously high potassium levels when combined with spironolactone. Can you check for interactions and monitor my potassium?" Bring the actual bottles. Request a baseline potassium level and another at day 5. The mistake: starting Bactrim the same day without any review. I've seen seniors take 2 doses and end up in the ER with a heart rhythm nobody saw coming. This treatment carries a hidden cost. Knowing your list isn't being difficult, it's being alive. Item 6. Hydration with electrolyte balance. If you treat explosive diarrhea like a regular stomach bug and just drink water, you're flushing out the minerals your heart depends on. And after 60, your body can't correct that quickly. Diarrhea causes rapid loss of sodium, potassium, and chloride. Plain water replaces volume but dilutes electrolytes, which impairs nerve conduction to the heart and raises the risk of irregular rhythms. The WHO's rehydration formula reduces diarrhea mortality by up to 93%. Protocol. At the first sign, start sipping oral rehydration solution. 1 liter of water, 6 teaspoons of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt. 1 cup every 1 to 2 hours. Avoid plain water and sports drinks. They don't have the right ratio for seniors dealing with gut fluid loss. The mistake, reaching for Gatorade. It was formulated for athletes, not for seniors losing gut fluid. Water alone is not hydration when you're losing everything through your gut. You need the minerals back, not just the liquid. I'll call her Barbara. She was 71, a retired school librarian in Western New York. She lived alone, walked her dog every morning, and ate a big salad every night. Spring mix from a bag, cherry tomatoes, and fresh basil. That was her routine, what she considered healthy. In mid-June, Barbara developed explosive, watery diarrhea up to 8 bowel movements a day. After 5 days, her standard stool culture came back negative. She was told it was probably a virus, but the diarrhea didn't stop. It disappeared for 2 days, then came back just as hard. After 3 weeks, she'd lost 9 pounds. Her blood pressure, normally 128/76 on lisinopril and spironolactone, had dropped to 98/60 from dehydration. Barbara's sister had died of colon cancer after ignoring GI symptoms for months. The fear that she was repeating that story kept her up at night. She told her daughter, "I don't want to wait too long." On day 22, her daughter, a nurse, called and said, "Mom, ask them to test you specifically for Cyclospora. It's not on the regular test." Barbara called her doctor and said exactly those words. The Cyclospora PCR came back positive. Her doctor prescribed Bactrim, but Barbara handed over her medication list, including spironolactone. Her doctor switched to an alternative under infectious disease consultation and monitored her potassium. She used oral rehydration solution from day 1 and immediately stopped eating raw, bagged greens and basil. Within 7 days, the diarrhea dropped from 8 episodes to 1. Within 14 days, it stopped completely. Her weight stabilized, her blood pressure came back to baseline, and Barbara noticed something she didn't expect. Her chronic bloating, something she'd lived with for years and had written off as just getting older, was gone. The parasite had been contributing to that discomfort far longer than anyone realized. 6 weeks later, a follow-up stool test came back negative. She went back to salads with the peroxide rinse and whole head lettuce only. She hasn't relapsed since. She didn't get better because she was lucky. She got better because someone told her the one question to ask, and she asked it. If you take spironolactone, warfarin, methotrexate, phenytoin, or diabetes medications like glipizide, Bactrim can cause serious interactions. Dangerous potassium buildup, increased bleeding, or blood sugar drops. That's not a reason to refuse treatment. It's a reason to review your full list with your doctor first. Bactrim's potassium retention stacks on top of spironolactone's, like 2 people pushing the same door. Potassium climbs silently until it triggers an irregular heartbeat. Understanding the mechanism is your protection. Do not stop any current medication on your own. And if diarrhea comes with dizziness when you stand up, dry mouth, dark urine, or confusion, get care immediately. Seniors dehydrate faster, and dehydration can trigger kidney injury all on its own, completely apart from the parasite. Here's your action plan. Tonight, pull the bagged, pre-washed salads, fresh basil, cilantro, and raspberries out of your refrigerator. Cook them to 160 degrees, apply the peroxide wash, or throw them out. Tomorrow morning, pick up 3% food-grade hydrogen peroxide and a kitchen thermometer under $15 total. This week, write every medication and supplement you take on one card. Drug name, dose, prescribing doctor. Put that card in your wallet. If you need urgent care, you hand it to the provider before they prescribe anything. Within the next 2 weeks, at your next appointment, say, "If I come in with prolonged diarrhea, I'd like to be tested specifically for Cyclospora." Ongoing. From May through August, apply the peroxide wash to all raw produce. Cook greens and herbs when you can, and stay away from raw basil, cilantro, and bagged pre-cut salads. You're not giving up salads. You're making 4 months of smarter choices and keeping one card in your wallet, a card that could keep a parasite out of your body and a drug interaction away from your heart. That's not fear, that's preparation. If you made it all the way here, you're not someone who scrolls past health warnings. You're someone who takes this seriously. And that not fear and not luck is what actually protects the people you love. But a lot of you probably have a second question now that this video didn't answer. What happens to your gut after a parasite like this tears through it? Because even after the parasite itself is gone, your intestinal lining is damaged, your microbiome is disrupted, and your nutrient absorption may not bounce back on its own, especially after 60. That damage has a name, and it has a recovery protocol. We cover it in full. In my next video, I'll walk through the exact gut rebuilding protocol after a parasitic infection, the specific foods, the right probiotic strains, and the timeline for restoring your intestinal wall. If you or someone you know has been through prolonged diarrhea this summer, that video is your next step. The systems designed to protect your food and diagnose your illness were not built for this parasite, but now you are. If this information could protect someone in your family, especially a parent who eats salads every day, share this video with them. And if you want to stay ahead of what the news cycle hasn't caught up to yet, consider subscribing. I'll be right here when you need the next answer. This is Dr. James. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.